I wanted to add another thing about their father, though, before we get
100%.
to the twins, because there's a lot there, and I do want to underscore something. So something I find very interesting is the claim by John Patrick O'Neill, who used to be FBI special agent for New York. He died in September 11th, 2001. But before then, he was interviewed by Gordon Thomas for Gordon Thomas's book on Maxwell. And he basically pegged Robert Maxwell as the man that set into motion what he called a truly international criminal syndicate. And he didn't really give a name to it, but he said that it seemed to involve some of these companies, like in Bulgaria that Maxwell headed. One of them being was known as Multi Group. But according to O'Neill, this ended up spanning, the Russian mob, the Japanese Yakuza, organized crime, really all over the world. And that Robert Maxwell is the person that brought all these people together. And one of the main business partners in this, I guess you could say, organized crime venture of Maxwell's was Semyon Mogilevich, who, is a well-known Russian mobster at this point. But apparently he was pretty not that high profile until he teamed up with Maxwell, and Maxwell contacted Israel's government. And I don't know who he talked to there, but he somehow got a passport, Israeli passport for Semyon Mogilevich, which allowed him to penetrate both the Israeli and U.S. financial systems, which made him one of the biggest mobsters on the scene. And there's a lot of other people swimming around Mogilevich who are very powerful and who come up in my book pretty frequently. One of them being Bruce Rappaport, and another one being Edmund Safra, who were all sort of in this Israeli intelligence, organized crime, but I guess it's not fair to say just Israeli intelligence, sort of this group of U.S. and Israeli intelligence that were collaborating on things like Iran-Contra and Promise and all of this stuff. I don't know if I necessarily want to say it was Israeli exclusively, because I don't think that's really true. But definitely in the mix there. So he gets into the U.S. and Israeli financial systems, and he's able to expand his business in a big way. And so when you hear stuff, for example, like the U.S. mainstream press will talk about Donald Trump in Russia, they'll talk about Semyon Mogilevich, but really I would argue it's more of Donald Trump's connection to, I guess, what I would call the Robert Maxwell network. Because you have Donald Trump partying on the Lady Ghislaine in the late 80s. And people like Stephen Hoffenberg, think about him whatever you wish. He's claimed that Donald Trump was closer to Ghislaine than Jeffrey Epstein. And it's very possible, because if you look at Trump's more recent reactions to Ghislaine and Epstein's arrest. With Epstein's arrest, it was immediately an effort to distance himself from Epstein.
Barely knew the guy.
But with Ghislaine, it was, I wish her well, right?
Yes.
And so when that reporting happens and they talk about these associations of Trump and the Russian mafia, I mean, they're not going to go any deeper than that and tell you that Semyon Mogilevich is not really just a Russian mobster. He's really a mobster that's in business with this whole group. That Epstein is also very much enmeshed with as well. So you have organized crime in the mix, throughout this. So I guess what I should have made clear earlier, with this organized crime intelligence stuff going in World War II, I mean, organized crime is something that, a lot of people in the U.S. seem to think that it sort of went away at some point.
Yeah. Right.
Sopranos
it's Boardwalk
season
Empire. 8. It's a TV show. It's not real anymore.
And so, if I'm talking about organized crime and intelligence in World War II, some people may still think that, well, maybe it got absorbed in intelligence and that's how it went away. But no, organized crime has always really been around, and it's always, pretty much played a key role in a lot of events going on throughout the last several decades in a major way. It just doesn't get reported on, maybe for obvious reasons, but that symbiosis of organized crime and intelligence, it continues to today for sure. And you see it pop up all over the place. And so Robert Maxwell is one person that I think they're not really interested in looking deeper into, because it's gonna, air out a lot of other inconvenient truths, I guess you could say.